Hey y'all, it's Joefer here, the Cranky Old Gay Guy. It is Sunday, the 12th of October, and it is the emergency World Naked Bike Ride protest ride today. And it is miserable outside. It is cold. It is wet. It's raining heavily. It's a little bit windy. And hence, just talking about it makes me chilly. So, I gotta wrap myself in fake fur and wish for the best. Was it gonna go? I had thought about it. I really did. They had called this weeks ago, and they weren't going to actually have it until troops arrived. Now, it's scheduled for today, and as of this morning, it was still happening. However, I'm under the understanding that troops have not arrived yet, and it's in court, so I'm not quite sure what this ride is going to produce. I most likely will not be going because it's miserable outside. And I can't imagine that anyone is going to be, stark naked out there. They're going to be wearing rain gear, clothes, maybe costumes, but they're going to be drenched and it's going to be cold. And I don't know what it's supposed to accomplish. I know it starts at the convention center at 2:30 in the afternoon, and there's going to be a die-in on the Burnside Bridge, which means they come out on the bridge, they stop traffic, they lay on the road and pretend to be dead for X amount of minutes. It's just to bring attention to what they're doing. It's not because they're mad at drivers or anything like that. This is a protest against the militarization of the streets in Oregon by federal troops. My guess is that they will ride all the way down to the ICE building and protest there as well. Again, they're just going to look like a bunch of people on bicycles dressed in rain gear because it is so cold outside. I just don't see it as a naked bike ride. Okay, there's a lot of things that make me cranky. One of them is the weather. The other is the politics involved in this. And the reason that they're calling for the ride is because of something the government's doing, which is, it's not good. It just makes me cranky. The repeated lies you hear on right-wing media about what Portland is and how Portland is and how terrible it is. The false lie that Antifa is an organized group that is like MS-13 or Hezbollah or terrorist. It's a terrorist group, according to right-wing media. However, this terrorist group doesn't have any meetings. It doesn't have a chain of command. It doesn't have anything really. Because if you think about it, everyone who's against fascists are part of Antifa, which would be the majority of the country, even though they don't realize it. So the whole thing is political theater. It makes me very cranky that it's designed to disrupt and create chaos and hurt people. Now, you'll say, well, the naked bike ride is political theater too. It is. But it's to bring attention to the problems that are happening, that are being created by the government. It's not just to create chaos. Now, some people might see it as chaos because, they have to stop their car and wait on somebody. But it's not chaos. It's not sabotage. And if you were to believe everything that you hear on right-wing media, I believe Pam Bondi has said this, as well as the vice president, and what's her name? Christine Nome was saying this the other day. They named all of the groups that they're considering terrorists and the individuals they consider terrorists. And that's pretty much everyone who disagrees with the president. If you are anti-Christian, you're a terrorist. If you are pro-woke, you're a terrorist. If you're pro-trans, you're a terrorist. If you're pro-LGBTQ, you're a terrorist. If you are pro-liberal, you're a terrorist. The Democratic Party is a terrorist organization. So if you're a registered Democrat, that would make you a terrorist as well. Now, none of these things are written into law. None of them are legally enforced. However, when the right spouts it enough, their cult-like following thinks it's real. So things like the World Naked Bike Ride are important in that they will draw attention to what's happening on the streets and how ridiculous the administration is. I know you're going to say the protesters are ridiculous for doing this. Well, you could march in the streets. Same kind of thing. Is that ridiculous? And if you really want to be sobered up, look at what just happened in Britain. There was a far-right march. Take back our country, push all the immigrants out. It was a very MAGA type January 6th insurrection against the rulers, the leaders in England. And then this week, there were protesters or peace protesters out there. A lot of them were saying, free Gaza, stop bombing, etc. And the police selectively went through the crowds and pulled elderly people and really, really elderly people, people in wheelchairs, people in walkers, people who had physical disabilities, and they just grabbed them and arrested them. Well, the youth were standing around chanting and yelling at them, and that's who was being arrested. And then you go back a week and you look at the protests of the far right over there, which I don't think they're called the far right, but they're the conservative movement. They were attacking police, pushing them, punching them, and you didn't see the police arresting the masses like they were in the peaceful protest. And by the way, the peace protest was much, much larger than the conservative march on Parliament. Okay, that's all we got today. I'll give you an update about today's bike ride. If I don't go, I'll watch the news to see what happens. Again, I don't know how big it's going to be, probably pretty small. And it's not going to be real nude because it's, like I said, miserable outside. All right, everybody, stay cranky, my friends. Stay cranky. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
It was a cold, wet day in Portland, and we were called to take a ride. But the rain was heavy, the day was gray. All I wanted was to be warm and dry. It's a ride that's to be naked, but only time will tell. The men will experience shrinkage once they're drenched in the rain a spell. So will this naked bike ride actually be nude and take place today? I don't think that I'll be going if my body has its say. Nudity as a form of protest. Yes, it's the Portland way. It's amazing how a little bit of flesh has a lot of sway to bring attention to militarization and let people see what's going on. Don't let the troops onto Portland streets. We'll cast a spell, let them be gone. So will this protest have an effect? Will rain gear have the same appeal? Only going to the ride myself, I guess, will let me see the grand reveal.